Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome to my channel, The Southern Seamstress, where I talk all about my sewing projects, including the fabrics and patterns that I use, also what I liked or disliked about the pattern. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my dress form from the Shop Company, but first I'm going to talk about the shirt I'm currently wearing, which is McCalls 7360. It has several different versions. It's got a short length or a tunic length. You can make it sleeveless or with short sleeves or long sleeves. You can have plain pockets, no pockets, or pockets with flaps on the top. I chose to make the shorter version with just the plain pockets. McCalls 7360 comes in sizes 6 to 22 with a finished bust size of 37 inches to 50.5 inches. The fabric I chose is from Spoonflower. It's a cotton lawn. It's a design by Cam Creative called Mandel Color Mini. I really like the pinks and the aquas and the green in it because it's got all the jewel tones that I tend to like for spring and summer. The pattern went together fairly well. It was fairly already short. Even though I'm 5'2", I didn't shorten the pattern any. Just did it a straight size 8. The only alteration I made was when I had done I did a partial toile in muslin and to see where the bust darts would fall, and they were a little bit high on me, so I dropped them about 5/8 of an inch. I originally wasn't going to put the pockets on the shirt because I would never put anything in the pockets, but then I decided it would add a little bit of interest to the shirt. And so when I decided to add the pockets, I wanted to make sure that the print from the pockets matched the shirt and lined up. And an easy way to do this, and this is what I did, was I cut the shirt out and then I marked the dots where the pocket placement was going to go, and then I took my pocket piece that has those same dots on it and I just laid it on top of the fabric of the front that I had cut out already, and then I just traced over some of these little designs, the outlines, and then I just put this with the tracings onto my fabric and cut out the pocket. So I did one side first, and then I traced the other side a little bit, and I didn't have to trace much of it. And then I cut the other one out. So now I have perfectly matched pockets. Now it's just the top that matches exactly because of the side darts. It makes the bottom half a little bit off from the design of the shirt. But anyway, that's an easy way to get your pockets to match up the prints from your pocket and the prints from the shirt. I think the shirt turned out really cute. I put some colorful buttons on it that match some of the colors from the shirt. I didn't bother putting the buttons all the way up because I knew that I wouldn't be using them, and with this bulky collar band, the buttonhole probably wouldn't have looked that pretty. It probably would have been crooked and not too smooth. Although I'm only 5'2", I didn't take any off the length, and I'm glad I didn't because it's not that long of a shirt. So it just comes about right here, just a little bit over my waistband. And if I had it any shorter, it would be, hard to do a front tuck if I wanted to have it tucked in or tuck it all in. So if you're very tall and you want to be able to tuck it, you might consider adding a couple inches to it. I will say that I guess the most unenjoyable part about this pattern was putting this banded collar on. This required a lot of easing. It said to do a stay stitch around the neck edge and then clip to the stay stitch and then pin the collar to the shirt, and kind of stretching out the shirt and easing in the collar. Well, the collar band seemed extremely short, and this certain pattern has a separate collar pattern for each of the sizes. So I thought, well, maybe I had cut the size 6 out instead of the 8. So I went back and measured the pattern against the fabric, and no, I had cut the correct one out. So I used like a ton of pins to try to get this smoothed out, and I even had to take it out, parts of it, a couple times because it had little creases in it, and I still think it has a few little creases, but it is fairly flat, and I don't think anyone would be able to see any puckering from a distance. Also, if I was doing this shirt again, I would probably go with the lighter interfacing on the placket and the collar band. I believe it called for just lightweight, which I did use. I used a lightweight fabric for lightweight interfacing for light fabrics, but it's when you fold over the piece, it makes interfacing double, and then you also have the two pieces, the two layers of the cotton lawn. So when I went to do my buttonholes, I had done that practice one on just folding over a scrap piece of fabric, and it worked fine. But then when I started doing the buttonholes on this placket, the thread kept breaking. So I had to change out my needle and put a heavier duty needle so that my thread wouldn't break. So next time I will probably use like a featherweight interfacing, or I'll just cut out half of the width of the interfacing so that when it's folded over, there's just one layer here. It also makes the neckband feel a little bit heavy, a little bit bulky, especially with this cotton lawn. Cotton lawn is pretty lightweight. But I do think the cotton lawn was a good choice. It's very crisp. It sews very well, and I really like the kind of a little bit of silky feel that it has to it. Several months ago, my children had asked me what I wanted for Mother's Day, and at the time I didn't have a dress form, and I had been looking at some videos and considering one. There was basically two types of dress forms that I saw. One that was the solid type dress form, like the one behind me, and then the ones with dials where you can widen it or shorten it, lengthen it. But I like the look of the solid dress form. And with the solid dress form, you can add padding to it to get it to a larger size. This one is from the Shop Company. They have several different models. This is their one that they consider a 3/4 length body, but they have some 1/2 ones where it kind of ends right here, and you can get it with arms or without arms, and you can get it with collapsible shoulders. I think without collapsible shoulders. This dress form comes in sizes 0 to 26, so it's got a wide range of sizes. From the 0, that starts at a bust of 31.5, and if you go all the way to 26, it's a 53-inch bust. And then the waist ranges from 24 inches to 46 inches, and the hips range from 34 to 56. And like I said, you can get a padding kit, and you can even increase, anywhere on the body here. The padding kit has a bunch of different pads. It has 2 shoulder pads, 2 bust pads, 2 back hip pads, 2 upper hip pads, 2 thigh pads, 2 side back pads, a stomach pad, and then just 4 little miscellaneous pads. When you go onto their website, it's got a calculator area, and you just put in your bust, waist, and hip measurements, and it tells you what the best size would be for you, because you always want a form that has either equal your size or smaller, because if you get one that is too big, you can't decrease it any, but you can make it bigger. When I put in my measurements, it came up with my best size would be the size 6. It also asks if you're taller than normal or shorter than normal, and I did put in that I was on the short side, but it's because they do have petite forms, but it didn't say anything about me needing a petite form. I played around with the calculator by kind of increasing my measurements by 1/2 inch and also decreasing because if my weight fluctuates, you know, my measurements are going to fluctuate a little bit, and it still came out with a size 6 every time. I really like this form. It's on a rolling base that's very heavy duty, and you can raise it or lower it. It has arms that come off very easily. So when you're putting on a shirt, you would take the arms off, and then you could just slip your shirt or your dress over it. If your shirt is very form-fitting, then you can use the collapsible shoulders to decrease the shoulder width, and then it'll slip down more easily, and you won't have to worry about stretching out your garment. And then you just press them back again and they'll pop out. And then their arms are really easy to put back on. You just take the hooks, and it's got a little slit in each arm opening, and they just go back on. So it said my best size is a size 6, and that's because the dress form in a size 6 bust and hips are almost exactly my size. Now my waist is not this small and hasn't been for a couple of decades. But if I wanted to make it exactly like me, I'd have to buy the padding kit, and then I could build it up some. But right now I'm mostly using it for tops, dresses, shirts, so the waist isn't that important. In the future I can always buy a padding kit if I want to and add to it. But overall I really like this dress form. It has a nice canvas cover that you can stick pins into, and you can spot clean. Underneath the canvas it is a solid hard form. It's not like a stuffed form. This dress form also comes in a full-length leg with full-length legs options, and it also has like a wire round rack for like dresses and skirts. You can also get a male form if you're making clothes for men, and it also has some children forms available. Now when we were ordering this, it said it was going to take, this certain size was going to take 4 or 5 weeks to come in, but it actually only took about 2 weeks to get here. And it was fairly simple to put together. You just mainly have to put the form on the rod, and then the rod into the little rolling platform. But overall, I would highly recommend it. So that kind of wraps up my video for today, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Also, if you have any questions about the dress form or the shirt that I'm wearing, just go ahead and put those in the comments, and I'll be happy to get back with you. So until I see you in the next video, I hope you have a wonderful week and that you spend a lot of time sewing.